Hi, everybody. I'm Bill Sanders, and this is Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Today, what I want to do is that I want to look at three different watch companies, and I want to look at them, sort of treat them as you have your lower level, your less expensive models, your mid-range models, and then your high-range models. And then within each one of these brands, I want to take a look at their entry level, mid level, and high level so you can get a good idea. The three companies we're using, first of all, is a German company called Union Glashütte. The second is a Swiss company, Rolex. And the third company is also another Swiss company, is Vacheron Constantin. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's get started. Entry level Union Glashütte, they have one called the Veto Date, which is 1,100 euro. By the way, all of the prices from Union Glashütte were in euro, so that's what I'm providing them with. Nice, clean office watch, or perhaps even a dress watch. The Belisar GMT is 1,730. Nice watch. You get a second time zone, and very clean watch. Now, the movements in all of these watches are basically modified ETAs. The modifications were unspecified, but we'll trust that Union Glashütte put in some interesting ones. Now, the mid-level watches from Union Glashütte, here are a couple. There's a group of watches called the 1893 Johannes Durstein edition. Now, this particular one is the moon phase, and it looks like, well, it's got a day date, a moon phase, a hand date, and then they have at 9 o'clock, there's a subdial that looks like a combination of a GMT plus a second hand. So there's a lot to that watch. 2750, not bad. A sportier watch from that same level is a Noramas. This is, again, a set of model called the Noramas 1893 and so forth. This is a straight up sports watch, 2,100 euro. Again, here you have a pretty standard looking diver kind of sports watch, and with a date over at 3 o'clock. The other ones had been at 9. Nice watch. Now, finally, their high level. There are a couple here. First of all is the Vacheron chronograph, triple hand date, 3,250 euro. Now, the thing I just really like about this, I don't know if you're familiar with the Daniel Roth Academy Althus 2 seconds. What they have a similar thing. Now, over on the right side, you ought to be able to see these. They have 3 rows of numbers, and then they have them in, I guess there's the 3 rows and a number of different columns. And then they have a hand with 3 arms on it, and each arm is a little longer than the other one. And as they go through, after the innermost row on it, from 1 to 10 for a date, indicating a date, there's a second arm to the 3-armed hand, and it goes into the middle row, and then the last one goes to the top row. Really a very interesting thing. I mentioned Daniel Roth Academy Althus too, because it has a similar thing, except it's for the second hand rather than the date. Chronograph, this is a very, very interesting watch. And, you're talking 3,250 euro. That's not very much for a watch with this much, really interesting things about it. The other one is another 1893 Johannes Durstein with a power reserve. I think the important thing about this is that it's got an 18-karat gold bezel. The rest of the major part of the watch is stainless steel, but it's not plated. gold. It just we'll put a gold bezel in there. Pretty neat looking watch. I mean, this could easily go for a nice, uh, very nice little office watch or even a dress watch. Okay, now, so this is sort of the first level I wanted to talk about. Now, the next level, what I call a mid-level watch. Rolex is noted as a, world-class, excellent watch. Um, they're famous for their oyster cases, oyster perpetual cases and movements. The one downside, as far as I see it, I think they're all automatics, and I like hand wound, and also they all have solid backs, but that's okay. They're very practical watches. Bless their heart, they're still using parachrome hairsprings. They haven't gone over to the silicone ones yet, or most of them. They have one, I think, but on one of the women's watches. But Rolex is good, solid, sort of center value watch. Now, the new Air King, they came out with a new Air King. They fixed up the things about the cases and the band. This is $7,400. The one I suppose that would be the most not base, but lowest entry level is the Oyster Perpetual 41. This is for guys, and 6150. Okay, now you can see the jump from Union Glashütte to Rolex. I mean, their bottom level is about twice as the top level of Union Glashütte, but that's so the whole point of this is to look at these different types of watches and the different levels they have. Now, the mid-level Rolex, there's probably a lot of discussion on this one. A lot of people would disagree, but that's inevitable. We're talking about watch collectors. The two that I have at mid-level is the Sky Dweller and stainless steel. Now, I'd sort of thought as the Sky Dweller is one of their top, and it is. It's sort of, but this is the fact that they have it in stainless steel really brings the price down significantly. Things just go crazy as soon as you hit any gold or platinum on this. So I'm going to have the Sky Dweller as a sort of a mid-level for Rolex. Now, probably the more iconic mid-level for Rolex would be the Submariner. This one is 10,600. By the way, too, anybody who knows anything about Rolex knows that these prices are not necessarily realistic, in the sense that currently they've been going sky high. These are the posted prices from Rolex. So if you're wondering how come these things are lower than what you've been seeing lately, that's why. Okay, finally, on the high-level Rolex, is the day date. Now, the reason that I included the day date on a high level is that they're so expensive. They're either in gold or platinum, white gold or yellow gold. So you no getting away from those prices. Now, this one is $37,450, which is, I mean, it's a huge amount for a watch, $37,000. I was surprised. I thought it was going to be the Daytona, but the Daytona is not as high, at least as the list price is concerned. Now, another one, they're sort of down to one model of the Cellini that they still have, and it's quite a nice one too. I like it. The Cellini Moonface, 26,750. So I think that represents a high level. It's sort of all of these are fairly pricey, but that's the nature of the beast. But this is still mid-level we're talking about. Okay, now let's go to the next level that we have, and this would be Vacheron Constantin. And Vacheron Constantin, I had a hard time with this for a lot of reasons. First of all, there's there's this new model that is clearly set up for an entry level, and that is the 56 self-winding. And that's $12,300. That's their entry level. Now, the reason that that was sort of problematic is that they have another one, the 56, and it's not called a self-winding. I think it's called a day date or something like that. And there is a quantum leap, right, from the 56 from that. And here's the quantum leap. All of the Vacheron Constantin models have movements with the Geneva seal. The only ones that don't, that I know of, are the 56 self-winding, and they have it in blue and black and white, and they may have some more colors for it. Now, it is sort of a Vacheron Constantin movement. It's by Val Fleurier, and what Vacheron Constantin says is that, I guess, Val Fleurier, which is owned by Richemont, who owns Vacheron Constantin, they send them something. I don't know whether they send them the ibos or what they send them, but according to Vacheron Constantin, then Vacheron Constantin goes to work on them. Okay. Now, for those who are more purists, you might look at a couple other watches as a true entry level to this sort of very high level watch company. And that would be the Overseas Self-Winding. Those are 22,500. I had their earlier version years ago. That is a fabulous watch. It's got a 5100 caliber movement, and that movement is really an outstandingly good movement. Now, another one, we're talking about entry level, is the Patrimony Manual Winding, 20,100. This watch, I think, has replaced the Calatrava as the sort of the essential dress watch. I used to have a Patek Philippe Calatrava that looked very much like this. No secondhand, no date, just hours and minutes, a true, very thin gentleman's watch. Great watch. Now, this would be, I suppose, other than the 56 might be considered, here's an entry level, but you're going to entry level, you're talking $20,000. That's a pretty hefty entry to come by. Okay, this next two, now this is in the middle. Here are two in the middle. You're talking things in $30,000 and $40,000 level as the middle. He's getting up there. The Historiques Americaine, 1921, 36,800. This watch is very iconic Vacheron Constantin watch. Beautiful watch. I have one, pretty much exactly like this one. I got it during the what was called the Asian crisis, when China cut back on the number of luxury watches that they had allowed to come in, because some of them were being used as bribes. But I couldn't afford one now, so then I could. The other one is a Patrimony Retrograde Day Date, 44,800. I like this watch for all kinds of reasons. I love retrogrades. I like this one in particular. Simple, clean, just sort of very cool watch. 44,000 bucks though is again not unusual for Vacheron Constantin. Now at the very top level, have sort of an interesting thing here. I don't care for tourbillons. I'll say it there. There's some tourbillons that they've done a lot of stuff to make them work as intended for tourbillons, but how much they really work, I don't know. And here's an interesting thing. This is the Overseas Tourbillon. This is in stainless steel for $115,000, but this is not it doesn't have the 5100 movement in it. That has a very special movement for it. It runs at 2.5 hertz, 18,000 VPH, and it's it's really a nice watch. They have lots of watches, so Vacheron Constantin does, especially in the line of tourbillons that are all over $100,000. If there's such as an entry level Vacheron Constantin tourbillon, this might be it. Now, the ones that I really like, again, this is the high level of a high end one, are what they call, and I'll say this wrong, meter d'art. This particular one's the Vaso da Gama. They have different explorers, and they have this really interesting watch with on the crown side here. They have these numbers from 0 to 60 for the minutes, and then they have the hour popping up in the middle, but it pops up in different places. I'm not totally sure how it works, but boy, that's a neat watch. That'd be a fun watch to have. Well, listen, I'm thinking, I could do this with different companies and looking, starting with more of an economy level watch and going through a mid level and then going to the high level. Finding high levels and entry level watches isn't that difficult. But boy, finding one that sort of reflects that mid range that Rolex has with their own manufactured movements, that proves to be difficult. If you got any ideas for that, let me know. So until next time, this is Bill Sanders for Watch Art Sci, the art and science of watch collection. Opportunity to subscribe if you'd like.